As the list that the Master has read out today attests, the college has been fortunate to have had a great many benefactors over its centuries of existence. From small gifts to large gifts, each benefactor has contributed to the development of the college into what it is today. I thought it would be interesting to look at one of our benefactors in more detail, but which to choose? I have decided to focus on Lawrence Booth, not to be confused with Sir Philip Booth, a 16th century benefactor who gave the college property in London. Lawrence appears on the 3rd page of one of our early surviving books of benefactors. This particular volume dates from around 1730, judging from the date of the last entry in the volume. Why Lawrence? He was certainly an interesting character, rising and falling with the fortunes of his patrons. He cemented the college's links with the north, but he was also named by Bishop Andrews as the college's 3rd founder, so I wanted to find out more. Booth was born in around 1420, the illegitimate son of John Booth of Barton in Eccles, Lancashire. He likely came up to Pembroke in the late 1430s or early 1440s and took degrees in both civil and canon law by 1448. But prior to this, he had received papal dispensation as the son of unmarried parents for a promotion to holy orders and had been duly ordained priest in 1446. The fellowship clearly saw something in him, electing him Master of Pembroke in 1450, a position he would hold till his death. He was the first master who was not a fellow, and his election followed a petition from the fellowship to the Pope for dispensation from the statute compelling them to elect a master from the fellowship. This desire for a master not from the fellowship came from a wish for the college to have a wider influence, particularly at court. In anticipation of the success of the petition, Lawrence had already been elected to succeed Hugh Damlet, who had resigned in April 1450. The papal bull for the dispensation is dated November of that year. This document was conserved in 2020, and a close-up of the seal, made of lead, shows the papal seal of Pope Nicholas V. You can just about see the heads of the apostles St. Peter and St. Paul. Initially a mainly absent master, firstly as Chancellor and Keeper of the Privy Seal for Queen Margaret, better known as Margaret of Anjou, wife of Henry VI, and then as Dean of St. Paul's, and from 1457, Bishop of Durham. But with Booth's fortunes tied to the Lancastrian cause, the Yorkist victory in 1461 at Towton meant a return to the college. Matthew Wren found evidence in the college records of Commons that in the 1460s, Lawrence was resident in the college for long periods. He returned to favour with the court by 1473 when he was made Lord Chancellor, and in 1476 he became Archbishop of York. That year the college gates were painted, possibly in honour of so great an event. Lawrence died at Southwell in Nottinghamshire in 1480, perhaps after a long illness, for he drew up his will the preceding year on the 28th of September. He was buried alongside his brother in the Chantry Chapel dedicated to St. John the Baptist, which he had founded there, and which his executors were to complete. Alas, we cannot see his tomb today, as it appears it was destroyed by a falling wall in 1847. So a brief summary of his career has been given, but for members of Pembroke, we are particularly interested in his impact upon the college. As I've said, he was elected master in 1450 and immediately began to work on behalf of the college. Just a year after his election, he obtained for the college the perpetual lease of St Thomas's Hostel from St John's Hospital for a yearly rent of 6 shillings and 8pence. The length of this plot ran from what is now Trumpington Street to approximately the main entrance to the current library, and the width from about halfway through the chapel to the end of the red buildings. The hostel brought more students to the college, with 34 noted as in residence by 1457, each paying 8pence a term to the college, a lucrative source of income and influence. The library over the hall was also completed during Booth's mastership, and it may have in fact been Booth who paid for it, or obtained donations to pay for it. His donations also enhanced the then chapel, adding stained glass and giving stalls, a rood screen, loft, and figures of saints. It's also said that he planted saffron in the college gardens. When a new plaster ceiling was added to the hall in 1926, Lawrence's arms were incorporated into the design, along with those of other significant benefactors: the foundress, Henry VI, Archbishop Grindal, Bishop Andrews, Sir Robert Hitcham, Sergeant William Moses, and Sarah Lonsdale. Have a look next time you're in hall and see if you can spot Lawrence's arms. They feature a bishop's mitre above the shield. The shield itself is described in heraldic terms as argent, 3 boars' heads, a raised sable erect. In other words, white with 3 black boars' heads. He would also go on to secure property lying between the college and St Botolph's, which gave the college access to a bakery and brewery. This is now the triangle of land between Pembroke Street and Botolph Lane. Add to this his work to secure earlier gifts from Henry VI of the rectory and advowson of Soham, Linton Priory, and a cell at Isleham, which could have been lost to the college upon the accession of Edward IV, and Lawrence was indeed a significant benefactor. And a benefactor not just to the college. He held the position of Chancellor of the University for 2 years from 1456, and saw to it that work started on the building of new schools for the public acts and lectures. But Lawrence's gifts to the college were not all so concrete. Under him, the fame of the college grew, and it began to nurture great men. Thomas Langton, for example, a fellow in 1461, went on to be bishop of, successively, St David's, Salisbury, and Winchester, and he became provost of Queen's College in Oxford. Richard Stubbs, fellow from around 1467, became master of Clare Hall, and William Chubbs, fellow from 1466, became the first master of Jesus, just to give you 3 examples. Lawrence's final act for the college was to bequeath the manor and advowson, or right to appoint the vicar, of Orton Waterville, or Cherry Orton in Huntingdonshire, now a suburb of Peterborough. It was named after the Waterville family, who settled there after the Norman conquest. Much of the land at Orton Waterville was sold off in the 1950s, when managing agricultural property became expensive. But the college retains many documents relating to Orton Waterville, including court rolls and rentals, and a licence of Mortmain for the original transfer of the manor to the college in February 1480. The document includes the seal of Edward IV, made of green wax. Each of our benefactors have their own stories, and I hope that I will be able to share some more of these with you in the future.